Good morning. My name is Gerald Santucci, working at DG Connect, European Commission. I've been over the last 2 years heading a unit called Knowledge Sharing, but I'm not here in that capacity. Actually, I have worked during 6 years on research and policy aspects of enterprise systems, RFID, and the Internet of Things. So I'm happy being in front of you today to come back to the future, in a way, but also to you to tell you my experience of what the Internet of Things has been, and most importantly, might be. I will give you my own views, but I will also give you hints of what the Commission is striving to do these days. So, what if? We have heard since yesterday a lot of excellent presentation about the promises of the Internet of Things, and I fully share them. It is said here in a document from eBay, if the IoT can be nudged in the right direction, then there is no limit on its potential to enhance our lives. We all want to believe in that. You heard about the technology, you heard about the standards, you heard about the many applications of the IoT. Maybe some of you have read the last book of Jeremy Rifkin, the Zero Marginal Cost Society, where he says that the Internet of Things has 3 essential dimensions: communications, energy, and of course, logistics or supply chain. What is missing, or not missing, but what is invisible there is a human factor. And I would invite you, encourage you to look into the very recent publication of the Article 29 Data Protection Working Party. It was published 2 weeks ago on the Internet of Things, where they focus, talking about Internet of Things, on 3 aspects. The wearables, the glasses, the watches, etc. The quantified self, on which I will tell you a few things, and the home automation, or what we say sometimes, domotics. It's important to understand that more and more, the Internet of Things will make that the digital will not only be around us, will not only be on us, the watch, the clothes, etc. It will also be in us. Yesterday you may have heard my friend Ryo Imura when he mentioned the biosensors that will monitor the operation of organs and cells in the body. So this technology around us, on us, but also in us. And what I will try to convince you of is that it raises a lot of issues that we need to start thinking about early instead of too late. And the fact is that on this slide, what you see is a book which is quite old. It was published in 1949, The 25th Hour, where mankind, it was 3.5 billion people. And it was said a society which contains millions of mechanical slaves and a mere 2,000 million humans will reveal the characteristics of its proletarian majority. I will not read it all. What is important there is to realize that with the Internet of Things, we enter into a world where we have 7 billion humans, but we have something like 70 billion industrial machines, and we have the potential of 70,000 billion smart things. This is not the case today. I'm not telling you that it should be the case. I just say the potential from a technological point of view to have everything on us being connected to a network exists today. So we have this proportion, 7 billion humans, 70 billion machines, and 70,000 billion things. So we need to think about that. The first time I realized that something new was coming that was not only an evolution, a mere evolution of the digital world, but something that can be called a disruption. It was 10 years ago when the US NSF published its report on nano, bio, info, cogno. I was struck not by the fact that digital can improve the economy and the well-being of people and society. I was more impressed by what they say on the last but one line, the capability to enhance abilities, tools, materials, and knowledge, etc. This enhanced human is probably something that we should acknowledge, most likely support, but also we need to think about the ethical issues that it brings. And this leads me to mention the evolution we are in towards the age of hyperconnectivity. I read, like many of you, the books from Bruce Sterling, and I like his Shaping Things, noting that it was published now almost 10 years ago. And it was a theory of design, technology, and history that explores how the tools that designers provide change society. And because they change society, they change us. And because they change us, they change the way we apprehend design. And you have this evolution of objects. We are today at the level of gizmos. Someone mentioned them yesterday. And we are moving fast to the age of SPIMEs. SPIME is a contraction of space and time. It's a location-aware, self-logging, self-documenting, well-identified object that flings off data about itself and also about its context. Sterling, when he wrote this book 10 years ago, mentioned that it could take place in 2030. Personally, given the speed of change, I think that we are slowly but surely entering into that age, and we will start to really see it by 2020. But this is the SPIME time, will be the time when the many hackers who are here, it will be their tool. It will be your ultimate tool. It will be the element, the key one of the informational universe. And the last object that Sterling mentioned is a biot, which is an element, an entity, which is both an object and a person. And when I say that, I refer to the ultimate point of the hyperconnectivity age, what Ray Kurzweil and others call singularity. That is a time which is also the 25th hour, if you want, where it is too late to come back. We will have reached a point when coming back to something that belonged to the future will no longer be a thing that can be done. So we are in a momentum, we are in a movement. And this is why we need to realize that there will be a point in time when we cannot step back. And because we cannot step back, we need to anticipate a change and work together in order to agree what society we want to make with the technology. So the hyperconnectivity society is something a little bit like this. We no longer have straight lines. Offline and online, they converge. Yesterday, Bernard Benamou, I think, said that in the time that is coming, we will all be connected by default. We will not be able to decide if and when we want to be connected. It will be a natural thing. So we need to understand that. Then, human versus machines. I've always heard about that. It's a difficult cleavage. It's difficult to have a definitive stance on this. Why? Because specifying a human, as you know, is not an easy task to do. Is it about the fact that humans are made of flesh and bones, or they have a certain IQ, or they have linguistic skills, or else? But if it is difficult to define a human today, it's even more difficult to define mankind, humanity. And you certainly know the Turing Test. I think it was around 1950 when Turing had the vision that by 2000 computers would be able, through 5-minute conversations with experts, to fool them into the belief that they were made of flesh and blood, at least 30% of the time. And you certainly have heard that no longer than last June, a certain Eugene Gutzman, a teenager living in Ukraine, and conducting conversations with people, passed the Turing Test. And of course, Eugene was a program, not a teenager as such. It was the first time, and he passed the test with, if I remember well, 33%. We may say the test was not done in optimal conditions. We may say what we want. Perhaps there were some flaws. The point remained that it was done not in 2020 or in 2025, what some people had anticipated. It was in 2014. And despite some flaws, if they existed, it is a signal to us that the cleavage that I mentioned between human and machine is there for a long time. And work on intelligence relates to creating intelligent robots and machines with a general intelligence purpose. And this is where we are moving now. Some people call it singularity. In fact, the cleavage that I mentioned between human and machine, I would prefer to call it a cleavage between humanity as a global system and a global, ambient, hyper-connected intelligent system where technology and humans integrate and interconnect. And this is, in fact, more or less what Bruce had the vision of when he mentioned the biot. So this brings us to characterizing what makes that we are unique. Probably it is the fact that we have the vision that we should be equal, human beings equal, unique, and looking for relations. Because the machines that we create, they have the power today or the capacity to learn from themselves, to learn emotions, to discover things, to kill, like for drones, or to be taught right from wrong, to teach themselves and make smart guesses, to help people, and so on and so on. So we are getting to the point that I mentioned that there will be a moment when it will be difficult to distinguish between humans and machines, in the sense that we are not the final end, as far as I know, of evolution. And if us, humans, we create onto what exists a new kind of intelligence, that intelligence will follow its own pattern. And there may be a moment, I reassure you, not today, where this intelligence may prevail over the humans in the same way that humans prevail over ants. So what I want to say is that great to have IoT, great to have this evolution of the digital world, but we also need to have a conversation within the society about what kind of usage we want to do of the technology. Just a few words I read in the New York Times a few weeks ago. This element that reminded me that many things that are part of the world as we apprehend it are disappearing. Privacy, we heard a lot about that. What is it today? Can we say that privacy is something that still exists or will exist in the next few years? At least the way we define it should be revised. We need to have also a discussion in the society about what it is and what we would like it to be. Local. What is local in a world that is increasingly global and hyper-connected? Average. Everyone, since his or her birth until death, is pushed by the society to be the best, to do the best, not to be average. So this is again a word that is going away. And later, well, that is the point, yeah. That is the point of the 25th hour, the point where we cannot come back. In the European Commission, we started to work on the Internet of Things in 2006. We used this phrase, this locution that was invented by Kevin Ashton, and it was first mentioned in the Commission text in a communication on RFID in March 2007. And then there was a recommendation on the Internet of Things in June 2009. The definition of the Internet of Things has been made by both an IoT expert group that I had established in 2010 and the so-called Internet of Things European Research Cluster, which I had established in 2008. And this definition, I want also to stress for you, is extremely close to the one that you heard this morning from the speaker from ITUT. There has been a lot of work. About 100 million euros have been invested on IoT during FP7. It's not a lot if you consider that here we are talking about the whole of Europe and about 7 years. But the momentum is that there will be more money for investing into IoT in the current H2020 program. So you have here some elements about what has been done on research and on policy. Rolling out, now we are talking about the future. We are working on the next work program of H2020. It will be for the years 2016-2017. And IoT will be worked a lot in connection with smart cities. Therefore, in the context of smart cities, we will explore what are the technological gaps that remain to be seen. In particular, you heard it this morning, security. We need to have demonstrations in real settings of applications. But we need to do all that in a context where we will not support the development of silos, but on the contrary, we will give a kind of premium to cross-use cases. So this is a slide that tells you a little bit how we see IoT in smart cities. In fact, IoT will be developed independently in the context of H2020 as a focused domain, but also in the context of the EIP on smart cities and communities. Thank you, and sorry for being a little bit long.